Hey guys, it's Nicole here from Toujours, and welcome to the start of my bread journey. I'm going to be rediscovering my love of bread. It's the reason I went to pastry school, and I wanted to take you along. We're going to start with a super simple bread that uses vegetable stock instead of water to hydrate. It is a straightforward recipe that uses old dough to add flavor and increase shelf life because of the acidity to our final dough. For the ingredients that I've put into all of this, the final dough is going to be 345 grams of vegetable stock, 500 grams of bread flour, 10 grams of salt, 3.75 grams of yeast, and then 200 grams of that old dough or fermented dough. You're going to mix on low till it comes together and forms a ball for about 5 minutes. Once you see that it's formed a ball around your dough hook, you can stop it, scrape down the sides of your bowl, and then turn your mixer up between a 2 and a 4 until you've developed a nice amount of gluten and your dough is not shaggy anymore. Oil or pan spray a bowl, and you're going to shape your dough into a round and put it into your bowl for its bulk fermentation. I tempt my dough, as you saw there, because it's ideal to proof your dough at around 24 Celsius or 78 Fahrenheit. So mine was a little cold. I could have maybe used a little bit warmer of vegetable stock here, but it's always good to know where your dough is at so you can accommodate with your proof time. Here I'm proofing in my Broad & Taylor folding proofer. I am able to control the environment, which is awesome because my room temperature is very cold and yeast does not thrive in it. So I did an hour of the bulk fermentation at 74 Fahrenheit. Once our bulk fermentation is over, dump out your dough on the table, and then we're going to divide and shape our dough. Here I thought I wanted to do 3 small little loaves, but then I decided after scaling it all out that I'd rather have 2 larger loaves. Whenever you are scaling out your doughs, just make sure that the dough touching the surface of your scale or the dough touching the surface of the table stays nice, because that's going to be the top of your dough eventually. So once I realized I wanted to do 2 instead, I just divided up that third one and put them in between the 2. Then we're going to pre-shape our dough so it's easier during our final shaping. And we're just going to let that rest for 20 minutes on the table before we do our final shaping. Each of these loaves turned out to be 530 grams. And then I wanted to shape them in a batard shape. So that is like an oblong oval shape. And then usually you want to work the tips a little bit more. So you put more pressure on the tips of your bread or the ends of your bread to make a little bit of a point. My shaping is extremely rusty right now, so this is quite embarrassing, but hey, you gotta start somewhere. What you're trying to focus on is building tension in your loaf so that you have a nice oven spring, and then just getting it uniform. I'm rocking it back and forth on the table to seal our seam and to make sure it has nice tension and stays that way. Once you've shaped your batards or whatever shape you wanna do, then I'm laying it on a baker's couche, and we are just gonna let this do a final proof now. If you don't have a baker's couche, don't worry about it. You can use parchment or a kitchen towel, anything instead. Just you wanna make sure you're able to transfer your dough afterwards, that it's not sticking to whatever surface you proof it on. Once your dough is done with its final rise, about 1 to 1.5 hours, depending on your ambient temperature, we're going to transfer onto a baking surface. So here I'm using a little silicone mat, a perforated silicone mat, and we are going to get this ready for the oven by scoring it. Scoring bread is my least favorite thing. I always get so nervous about it. What you want to do is you want to go quick and have the razor glide through your dough. I was a little too slow, and I should have had my blade more flat And then you want to stay on the top third of your dough when you're scoring down like a baguette, or in this case, I did a little batard. And you want it to go down the middle third of your dough and overlap as well. So you don't want to just go down one and then start the next one. You want them to overlap. Think of a rules of 3 and have them meet up in the thirds. Once you're done scoring, then we're gonna pop these into the oven. I preheated my oven at 500 Fahrenheit and then popped these puppies into my oven and dropped it down to 460. And I baked for 20 minutes for these size loaves. 20 minutes was great. I sprayed them with water before putting them in, and that turned out great. I also put ice cubes in while baking, and that did not turn out as well. I have a baking steel pan from Broad & Taylor in there as well, and I think it really aided in some nice crust without having these have to be baked with a cover. Once they're done baking, they're a beautiful golden brown. The scoring obviously needed work to be more of an ear. I definitely need to tighten that angle and have the blade be flat. But it looked good and it tasted even better, you guys. Super simple, not having to worry about a sourdough for this bread, just the old dough that you add in, which really helps intensify its acidic levels and aids in shelf life. So the flavor is great. And of course, adding butter to anything is great. Let me have a little bread with my butter, you guys. This was so much. This bread was very tasty, super straightforward, and a fairly quick process. Let me know if you guys have questions about it in the comments below.